Hi, it's Pete, Mindwiseman's channel, aka Maverick Outdoors, and this is just a brief video update leading up to 18 days time when I leave to do the Everest Base Camp Trail. And this is just a brief video, just sharing with you some sort of basic exercises and conditioning that I've been doing, especially over the past sort of 3-4 months, even prior to that from October, November last year, once I decided I was going to actually do Everest Base Camp for May. I've upped my training, my exercise. I've always been involved with exercise, fitness, all that sort of thing, activities, since I was a teenager. And I was a personal trainer for 20 years. So if I just clarify a few things for people that are maybe sort of an attitude that maybe feel that what I'm doing isn't right, or I don't know what I'm doing. I was a personal trainer for 20 years and I've actually trained people, a whole cross section, from athletes, sports people, even down to health and fitness, just for the general public. And what I've started to do is actually utilise my qualifications and my training as a personal trainer to actually apply specifically to doing Everest Base Camp. So if you were training for a particular sport, it would be called sports specific. So if you're training as a footballer, the sports specific conditioning and the exercise training you'd be doing will be different, say, from a marathon runner or a short distance runner. Everything is specific for the particular activity that you're going to do. So the performance related activity becomes as efficient as possible because you've done relevant exercise and conditioning that's specific for literally that activity. So of course I've never done Everest Base Camp before, so I'm actually sort of collecting all the sort of knowledge that I've got and experience to then apply it to know what is involved with doing this. I have an itinerary where I know where I'm going to be on what particular day, how long we're going to spend to acclimatise, which is one of the most important things. Acclimatization in high altitude where there's less oxygen, normally anything from 2.5 to 3,000 meters above sea level, that's when it normally starts to affect the human body. So of course the best you can do is to do any exercise and conditioning whereby it replicates the activity, i.e. on Everest Base Camp, especially somewhere like Namche Bazaar, you've got inclines that are going up, steps that are built into the mountains so that your body can actually be conditioned to be able to do that. Many people that do the Everest Base Camp Trail, some of them actually don't have the objective to get to Everest Base Camp. They maybe want to go halfway through the Himalayan Trail towards Everest Base Camp just for the scenery, not specifically then to go into maybe what is going to be more of a challenge for them. And some people that do Everest Base Camp might not even exercise half as much as what I am. Some people even don't. All they do is maybe take their dog out for a walk a little bit longer and more often than they normally would, and they succeed doing Everest Base Camp. But the problem and the difference between someone that actually conditions for something like that, any trekking, the people that don't necessarily prepare for it find it much more of a challenge, very tiring, sometimes get mild altitude sickness and can't really take in the wonderful views of the Himalayan mountains. Even though they might actually get to Everest Base Camp, they might not enjoy the experience as much because their conditioning left a little bit to be desired. So in this video you're going to see some of the simple things where I'm replicating some of the terrain whereby I haven't got access to get to literally mountainous areas that maybe are similar to the Himalayas, albeit at a lower altitude. So this video is sort of sharing some of my ideas and where you can actually use your imagination to use areas that might be local to you. So for some of you that follow my travels and activities on my YouTube channel will recognise one of the particular places. I'm just going to give a real brief example of where I was trying to condition the legs to replicate some of the terrain on the inclines of the Himalayas, and also when I went down to visit some friends at the coast and I used the promenade beachfront where there's lots of different variations of stairs, which you'll see in the video, that I actually used to actually just try and train my legs and get the cardiovascular endurance up as well. You don't have to be super fit. It's not about a race or trying to do it in a very short period of time. It's about actually acclimatizing on the Everest Base Camp Trail and taking it steady so that you don't sort of overexert yourself. So even when you feel that you might be able to really sort of give it a bit of a beast and steam into it, and give it some welly and sort of pick up a bit of speed. It's advisable not to. Now, some people are genetically gifted. They acclimatise to high altitude very easily, but obviously I haven't experienced that, so I don't know how that is going to respond to my body. All I can do is try and prepare for it the best I can so that I can enjoy the experience, take in the scenery and that sort of thing, so it's least of a physical exertion, albeit it's going to be, obviously. But at least the conditioning and the training that I'm doing, based on my experience, knowing about physiology and anatomy, getting results from people that I've trained over the years, now sort of amalgamating a lot of the information that I've accumulated over the experience of being a personal trainer, to then apply it to myself. So I know, taking this trail, on the itinerary of the 2 weeks that I'm going to be in the Himalayas, what day I'm going to be at a certain location, how long I'm going to be there for, how high that then elevates to then go into the next level of altitude the following day, and the 2 particular locations where we stay for 2 nights at one place, then we travel, then we get to another place for 2 nights, so that the body then adapts while you're asleep. So basically you raise high, you sleep lower, whereby your body then produces more red blood cells, hemoglobin, mitochondria, which are all part of the basic biochemical reactions of then your body being able to adjust to acclimatization and the high altitude of less oxygen. So 2 things: sharing my experience, seeing how I'm approaching it, what I'm doing, even though others might not, they will do it in a totally different way. But my approach is from my experience of knowing how the body responds to certain activities and just trying to do the best I can that's appropriate for me. Considering my age, old enough to be your dad and then some, and then the very in-depth leg surgery I had, total hip replacements in both legs, and that's bearing up okay. I know I'm going to get slight aches and little tweaks, but as long as I do it safely and I know what I'm doing because I know about physiology and anatomy, then of course that's going to be a plus, and I'm going to be able to do best practice. So the content of this video isn't the be-all and end-all. It's not just doing this once a week. I've done it many times. Up slopes on inclines because I can't get to mountains, so I've done it around the Roman ruins. Multiple times, up down, to replicate the effect, as I said. So from training in the gym, doing resistance work, strengthening the muscles, different body parts, compound exercises, chest, thighs, back, core stability, then using the treadmill at a fast pace, then taking it down to a slower pace, mask on, incline treadmill, getting that cross section of conditioning, and then going outdoors using terrain that replicates Everest Base Camp as best as possible. That's all I can do. But the next video will show you with me up Brecon Beacons, which is going to be a little bit more of an exertion as I get nearer to Everest Base Camp on the 10th of May. So finally, this is a continuation for my subscribers that have been really interested in how I'm approaching the Everest Base Camp, my training, my thoughts behind it, all that sort of thing. And if ever you were going to do something similar, or Everest Base Camp itself, you might be able to take a few ideas from all this information, no different from when I'm out canoeing, wild camping, that sort of thing. You either enjoy the experience or both enjoy the experience and also get ideas from it, and that's what it's all about.